do 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 do
Hey everybody, welcome to the Fun Bunker Film School for another episode. I am excited to be here. I am Zach. I am the assistant to the teacher. That feels right. Assistant to the teacher, Chris. That's what I
The
am.
A to the T instead of just the TA.
Yeah, I love a little bit of office in almost everything I do. So I'm the A to the T. Now, no, it just sounds weird.
It sounds potentially dirty.
That sounds just
That's
like you're
good.
saying AIDS.
Hey, there he is. So we do have some fun guests. Obviously, Zach, I'm here on this. Chris, the teacher, you're here as well. We've got two other students with us. We have Nathan, a return student.
That's me.
Hey, Nathan.
Hello there.
We have another Nathan, but we don't call him Nathan. We call him Kolb. Hey, Kolb.
Hey, I'm Kolb, and I'm fun.
It's true. So in college, where all of us know each other from, we had it was an unhealthy amount of Nathans. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to describe it that way. Unhealthy amount. And we called all of them different things. There was a Nate, there was a Nathan, there was Kolb, there was Smith, there was more than that. So I'm sure there's different names, but that's all ancient history now. Now I'm just left with two Nathans. One of them is named Kolb in my life. So
The most important ones.
yeah, that's how I would say
Yeah.
so.
We got the two best.
The two
That's what I've been
best.
told.
Yep. So I'm excited tonight for this particular film, Chris. When you had laid out that we were going to do, spoiler, 12 Angry Men, I was very excited. I'd seen it once in college, and we were doing a pregame chatter, and I was saying how I was just blown away, and I was really impressed, even as a college student. And so when I saw it again, I was like, yes, I've been kind of wanting to watch that anyway. So, Chris, what made you pick 12 Angry Men? And what's the categories here that we're doing?
Yeah. So, what did we have this category listed as?
I think it's like old, just old.
It might just be old stuff. Yeah.
Just old.
Yes, because this movie is like over 65 years old. It is from 1957. And I don't consider myself like a big film historian, like somebody who's really going back, like even past the 70s. Like my what I've seen is not that vast. However, I have seen some stuff. I try and hit the big ones, and this is one that I remember. I believe we got to watch it in high school for some class. I don't know if it was just like a teacher was drunk and didn't want to teach, and so they just put on a movie, or if it was like, no, like you guys need to see 12 Angry Men, and see how this kind of stuff works. And it's just really good. I think for a movie that is 65 years old, it holds up really well. And it's one that I'm like, if, even if you are averse to the idea of a black and white movie or it kind of can sound boring. It's a drama, a courtroom kind of drama that's all set in one jury room where they are debating about their verdict over an 18-year-old boy's a sentence in a murder case. The murder case makes it sound interesting, but it's not like you ever get to see any of the, there's no reenactment of the murder or anything like that. It's all just takes place in one room.
A little bit.
I mean, a little bit. They do their own reenactment. Spoilers, but yeah, it's so good and it's so well done, and I think it goes to show that even back in the 50s that you could have these great performances that still stand the test of time, and how good an airtight script really can lend itself to the quality of a film and the enjoyment of a film. It's just a good time. So yeah, that's why I wanted to put it on the syllabus.
The syllabus, nice. Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree. I think that if you didn't tell me the year, I would guess it's old because it's black and white, right? I grew up on like the Andy Griffith Show and Gilligan's Island stuff, so I'd be like, yeah, it's old. But
Mhm.
I wouldn't have said like 57. I think I would have gone a little bit later or just not guessed because I'm like, this is great. Like, surely it's not like that old, but it also is. Correct me if I'm wrong. This director's first film.
Yes, and it's
That blew my brain when you told me that.
yeah, a great director. Like this is a Sidney Lumet, and he made a bunch of kind of cult classics and film classics. Dog Day Afternoon, Network, Serpico. He did the Murder on the Orient Express from the 70s, The Verdict. Like he did a lot of really good and varied work, and this was his first feature film like for theaters. He had done a lot of television work, which is why he was actually hired for the job. But it was a step up for him, and it's a crazy debut.
Yeah, it really was. I told my boss earlier today that I was chatting. I didn't tell him what I was chatting about this for, but I just mentioned that it was his first movie, and he was shocked. He was like, "There's no way that was that director's." I was like, "Yep." So
Yeah.
it's a verifiable fact on Wikipedia.
Yeah, I obviously never seen it. I think I probably heard of it. It's one of those that's probably floating around in just the general, classics knowledge, but didn't know much about it. And yeah, like you said, Chris, like if you're like, oh, it's a movie from the 50s, it's a courtroom drama, and it's set in like, at most two rooms. There's like the jury deliberation room, and then there's like a quick shot in the bathroom. And it's about 12 different men discussing a case. Like, wow, that sounds riveting. Sign me up.
Sign me up for a good
Yeah.
time.
And like, I don't know, it's I don't know if it's just me or if there's like, some of the old movies, like the way things were acted is often kind of like weird or off-putting, or it's like overly acted, or like, I don't know, there's like a different kind of feel to it that I think sometimes can turn at least me off from older movies. Um, but I watched it actually just last night. I was kind of blown away. Like I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was like riveted the whole time. And I'm sure we'll get into it more, but just um, some of the different shots and some of the progression of the like cinematography as you see, like, one thing that stuck out to me that I wanted to mention was like there's kind of the whole theme of it being really hot. And like, one of the first shots they're trying to turn the fan on and can't. But even like as you're watching the progression, you see these guys like just this like the sweat in their like armpits and their like around their necks and like their
Loosening
foreheads, like
ties.
loosening ties. Like you can kind of see that like physical representation of like the time and the stress as they're like all just getting sweatier and like starting to hang their coats up on the rack and like and there's even there's the one, I can't remember which number juror he is. One of the holdouts. He's the broker.
Juror
He is
4.
number 4. Yep.
Anyway, he's the one that doesn't seem, even one of the guys, he's like, "Don't you sweat?" And he's like, "No, I don't." And then the one time, I loved that too. Some it was almost like over the top, but it was, I don't know, I appreciated it. Like,
It works. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
it worked. And like, spoiler, at one point when his like kind of reason for holding out and for sticking to guilty verdict is kind of like flipped on him, then you see like the first bead of sweat, run down his forehead, like that kind of thing. I don't know. It was just neat. Maybe for some people it'd be like too hit you on the head, but there was quite a few shots like that I was just like, oh, it's super cool, really neat.
Yeah.
Cole, what'd you think?
Cole, what'd you think?
Man, I did not expect the story to be so compelling. And not only the story, but the way it was told. An example, my brother actually told me one of my favorite Christmas movies is It's a Wonderful Life. And the
Mm.
story is really good in that. But the way it's shot is very remedial and very simple. And ever since he said that, I can't watch that movie the same way. I'm like, oh, it is kind of like anybody can shoot
Thanks.
it this way. That's also a lot older, but from the first few shots of this movie, the camera's moving the entire time. You see the courthouse; it's moving up, looking at the words on the building. Then it's going through the hall, seeing all the different things. I'm like, okay, this might actually be a film. This won't just be static medium shots. It won't just be some guy says his line, cut. Some guy says his line, cut. It's going to be something more special, and it was.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I like what you're both kind of getting at, that it looks, it does, and well, maybe it doesn't look old. And some of that is the camera work, and some of that is, Nathan, you alluded to the acting, like um the dramatic, the movies back then, actors tended to have a little bit more flair for the dramatic in their acting, because they were either coming from stage, or
Yeah.
they were, it just had to be communicated differently because of the kind of cameras and the way movies were shot back then. Whereas like today, you have much more naturalistic acting, where people are behaving more like people. So yeah, and whereas this movie, while it does have moments and of people boiling over and explosions, that the men do get angry, it's still the more
Hey, that's in the
naturalistic in that sort
title.
of thing. Yeah, right.
And this, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is uh, adapted from a stage play, right? Isn't it a play? Or was it play? Or was it a play after?
It might have been a play after.
Okay.
It was originally broadcasted as a television play in 1954.
Okay. Maybe that's where I'm getting it from.
But it feels like one. Like it feels like it, should have started off as a play, and very easily could be a play, because it is set in one location, which would be ideal for a story like this. So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say there were several like moments too where it felt, I would, not in a negative way, but it felt like kind of play like, and there's some of the like, like standing up from the table and kind of like walking across the other side of the room, and like, I don't know, like I just kind of felt like I could envision myself sitting and watching this, like kind of, somehow you get that like movement on the play stage. um and so I was like, I kind of reminded me of a play. But um yeah, that's a great quote, just like compelling. Like I think that's a great
Mm.
word. Like it was like the way the story was told was just very compelling. And I think like I couldn't think of anything specific, but I'm, obviously that idea of like, at the start, there's, Henry Fonda's the one guy, he's holding out, he's the one sticking to not guilty, and then you slowly see like one by one people start, for whatever their reason is, they get over it and they, flip the script and it goes. And I felt like that's kind of a, maybe you can point it out, Chris, but that's kind of a theme that I'm sure originated in that story, in that movie, um, of that whole idea, like I don't know if you call him like the straight man or whatever, is the one that starts, then at the end it's like flipped, everybody's on the other side, and the odd man out is, used to be in the majority, now is in the minority, and now he's trying to like figure out how to cope with that.
Yeah, like the serious version of the focus group sketch from I Think You Should
Exactly.
Leave. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Now he
uh,
has to marry his mother-in-law.
yeah, exactly. Now Henry Fonda has to marry his mother-in-law. Yeah, no, I think like a good overarching theme of the film is like thinking about like, these guys are all coming from, they are all normal guys that come from different walks of life, and they've all come to this thing that it takes one guy to treat it more seriously than the others, and to eventually say, we need to actually look at this and take this seriously, because it's very easy for us to make a snap judgment, and we will be able to walk out of this room and never think about it again. But the one guy, takes it seriously and takes it with some honor, and over time wins everybody over.
Yeah.
And he's a very like, yeah, honorable man. Like he's not trying to like bowl anybody over. He's not even claiming that like the kid is innocent. Like his whole reason the whole time is like, and the judge says at the beginning of the film, if there's any reasonable doubt, then you've got to find him not guilty. And so like, Henry Fonda's point, the whole thing is like, I don't know if he did it or not. Maybe he did, but I have reasonable doubt. Like I don't, I can't say like I know he did it. And so for that reason, and other people are like, it doesn't matter, who cares? Of course he did it. I was going to point out another great moment I appreciated was the main kind of antagonist when they're arguing about the old man, whether or not he could have heard or remembered what he heard or, whatever. And he's, I can't remember specifically leading up to it, but basically he's arguing that he's a reliable witness. Well, in the process of arguing this, he like blurts out, like, how do you know the old man was confused half the time anyway? What does he know? He's talking about. And he's like, oh crap. Like I just kind of argued against myself.
And they
in that
catch
point.
themselves.
Like, and he catches himself and realizes, but like at that moment, that's not, that doesn't push him over. He's like, no, he shuts it out.
Yep.
And it's like, finds another reason to stick to his guns. But I thought that was a neat moment too.
Oh yeah, there's so many moments in the script where like they set it up early when the guy's like, "Hey, do you know what a soft sales is? Like you sound like a soft salesman," and that's exactly what he does. He makes every other juror realize the truth without telling them the truth, and he does it to juror number 3 like 6 times. Like, like when he's like, "I'm gonna kill you," and he's like, "You're not really gonna kill me, are you?" Like, that was another moment where I was like, "Oh," I literally went, "No way!" Like, such a great dialogue in that whole, like, it feels like it was a stage play at first, but you obviously know more the history about that than I do. But yeah, all of those, like making the character realize that they were wrong or their perception is wrong. And yeah, the cast did a great job of portraying that. And like almost every one of them were like, you don't look like you're a 50s actor. You look like you're a psychologist or something. I don't know, but
at least early
fantastic.
60s.
Yeah, there you go.
Did y'all have a favorite juror as you're watching?
I really like juror 11, the watchmaker that has the mustache.
I loved him. He's so good. That was one of my favorite moments was when he's like, these people don't even speak, they don't even speak good English, and he corrects his English. I was like,
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
I liked the old man. He was one of the first ones to like flip with. There's his when he starts talking about the glasses to that dude. Like I can't remember how he like starts it kind of a funny, his line of thinking like kind of in a funny way, like just asking him about his glasses and whether anyway. But yeah, I appreciated him.
It's crazy because he's the first one.
I liked juror 6, the working class guy.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
But biggest thing was when he like yelled at juror number 3 to respect his elder, and he's like, "You treat him better, I'm gonna lay you out." I'm like, "Oh, I love that." I love the violent justice.
So,
he didn't speak much after that, but I liked him a lot.
Yeah. Similarly, I like the one next to him, juror 5, who's the Orioles fan who grew up in a slum.
Yeah,
and I feel like is the first one to go back against the more racist juror. We'll just call it what it is, the racist juror, and be like, what do you hey, I grew up in I grew up in a slum. Like, that could have been me. And
I think he's
kind
the
of
first
starts
one
to push back against him a little bit, like very early on.
I think he's the first one to
this
stand
point
up
too. Like I kind of, when the movie first started, I had a thought in my mind, like, is this going to be one of those things where I'm going to have to like try and remember like which one's which? Like, I mean, there's by the name of the movie, like there's 12 of them. Like, that's kind of a lot of characters to keep up with, um, to be main characters. It is, but I found that like it was not an issue at all. Like I found very quickly, I was remembering like, which juror is which, and they each have a very distinct like personality, but it's not over the top like, um, unbelievable. But they're all very distinct, and you can like kind of quickly see that, catch on to who's who.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the first dialogue moments where I knew like, oh, this juror number eight's a lot smarter than we realized. Is when he's the racist guy is talking, and the guy's like, well, why do you believe the woman over the kid? Isn't she one of them too? And like
Yeah.
it was a nice slap in the face with words. And I'm like, oh, okay, I think I need to pay attention to this movie because it's good. It's got some
Yeah.
good lines in it.
There's a spot in your notes, Chris, where you said verbal jousting, and I like that description. There's a lot of verbal jousting going on.
Yes.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it is what makes a lot of the movie. I wanted to actually come back to, we keep bringing up that it is such a good script, and it would work really well as a play. Like if this, if the local high school or something, or a local theater was putting on a production of 12 Angry Men, I'd be tempted to go, and just, watch the story because it's so good. But one of the reasons that I think this really works as well as it does is, there is a cool, Nathan, you were cueing into this. There's a progression in the cinematography and the production design throughout the movie that really works well. Like if you go back and watch it, at the beginning, there are a lot more static mediums and long shots that, where it's, just a one long scene of people talking. But as things start to ramp up and heat up, the camera's lower and they start to become more, dead on. They're not as raised and above the room. They're more direct to the actors, and there's some close-ups, and the cuts get a lot faster as certain scenes heat up. And then too, there's the issue with the heat and everything, and that plays into the noise because eventually they figure out that they can turn on the fan, and so then you have the fan going in the background the whole time, and then it starts raining, and then so it's just like everything is getting more claustrophobic. Everything is getting to be more of a this pressure cooker, and it's getting louder without going over the top and everything. And there is a score, but it's not it's usually only played between kind of like transitional moments. And it's very sparse in that way. Like it is mostly just the camera and the actors and the sound, if there's their background noise that's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and it's working really well. So I actually watched a video, and I should have written it down, but I watched a video on YouTube of a guy who is analyzing it and comparing it with the original television play that was done in 1954, so 3 years before this came out. And when you compare them side by side, the television play is shot much more just like a regular play, and doesn't have some of those cuts or those angles, and it doesn't lend itself to these big dramatic moments. Like he showcases the scene where he pulls out the switchblade that he bought, from just another pawn shop in the area, to show that it's not a unique knife. And in the play, it's kind of like all just done at like one medium shot, and you see him take it out and stab it into the table. Whereas in the movie, it's done with, the close up on the knife when he stands up and everything. And it's this great, like dramatic sting, and like a really big pow moment. So yeah, I love that this movie works as a movie, and they could very well work as a play. The script is tight, but and is a great script, but the cinematography and a lot of the way that this movie was shot and directed shows how good of a director Sidney Lumet was, and what control he had.
I Oh, you saying that reminded me. There's so many little spoken moments of like insignificant like dialogue that then later come back into play, and I want to rewatch it and like just take note of the almost like interlude dialogue, because I remember the knife one actually threw me off a little bit because they got fixated on, for half a second he's like, it's illegal to buy a switchblade, and he's like, yes, I broke the law, blah 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 blah, and I was like, why do you say that? Like, who cares? This is not the point he's making. But they do that all the time. It'll always be these little, and they even say that they're like, all these side conversations are slowing us down or blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and but they always would like, they would loop back, like they, something would loop back to those.
There it is.
No.
Oh man. I get what he's saying though. There's all these moments where like it's just like character development, you know, where the juror number 2 shares like a cough drop with juror number 8, and
Yeah.
the way he, you know, I really like juror number 2. Actually, he's another one I really like, the kind of meek he's a bank teller.
Yeah.
Which, did you guys catch that his voice is it's Piglet from Winnie the Pooh?
No, is it really?
No, I
Yes.
didn't.
if
That's
you go
awesome.
back, you won't be able to unhear that juror number 2 is
Oh,
Piglet
man.
from Winnie the Pooh.
That is funny.
You know,
That's awesome.
but the way he talks, you know, with people in the interstitial moments, and you know, is saying, "Oh, I thought the case was interesting,"
Yeah.
and then starts to defend, or you know, stand up for himself a little bit more, or
When he's
guy
out
who-
of cough drops,
yes, yeah,
the racist guy, he's like, they're all gone.
yeah. So some of those little small moments, even if they don't directly impact the plot, they inform the characters somehow. You know, you really understand, like Juror 7, the one who has the Yankees tickets and
Yeah.
just wants to get out of there, and you know he's impatient, and he's the one that they have to, you know, kind of break on. Like, you care more about the game than you do this man's life.
This kid's
you know?
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't
I
think
think-
he changes by the end of the movie, does he? He's
No,
very, he just flips with the group.
He never
Like-
gave an answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he never really gave an answer.
Yeah.
But
That's a good point. It's more like, okay, now this is what's going to get me out faster. He's
Right.
agreeing.
He's switched with the tide. He's like, oh, I guess he's not guilty now. Like, why? Because that's where everybody else is leading. So, yeah, I don't think he had any arc. He's just like, I'm just going with the flow, and whoever's winning that's what I'm going to vote for.
Yeah.
whatever gets me to this Yankees game fastest.
Another one I think of is the I guess he'd be number 12 of the ad executive.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He has quite a few like kind of side conversations. I think they just kind of set up he's a little more like, I don't know, scatterbrained. A little like kind of
aloof.
full of himself, aloof. Yeah, like, I'm a big shot. Is he the one that's doodling the Rice Krispies or the
Yes.
Yeah.
right when he like takes it from him and throws it away? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he was more like fun loving, kind of like, I'm just here to have a good time almost. Like
Yeah.
he's the character who's like, oh, I'm glad we got a murder case and not just like a battery case. It would have been a lot more boring if we got
Those are dull.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
I think he's
Let's
just
put
ready.
this out on the curb and see what the cat licks up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Oh gosh. What was y'all's favorite flip? Like, which juror flipping and moving to not guilty? Which was your favorite?
Oh, that's a good question.
I actually really, and it was kind of an interesting scene too, but the kind of xenophobic dude's
Mhm.
soliloquy, and then it was really like, I'm not quite sure I understood the choice. Like, everybody starts to stand up and like kind of turn their back to him while he's talking, and it was I don't know, it was just kind of interesting scene. I don't know if I still quite understand the like choice, but I like that one. He kind of like starts, he starts ranting and raving, and then as he starts like digging himself deeper and deeper, he starts to realize like, I think he starts to realize his own prejudice and kind of becomes
Yeah.
ashamed. He becomes ashamed of it, and I don't think he really speaks much after that. I mean, it's towards the end of the movie
No.
anyway. But I think once he kind of goes off to the side, puts his head down, and I don't know, I can't remember if he starts crying or what, but he like kind of realizes and is ashamed of his prejudice coming out so strongly, and then you don't really hear much from him after that, other than not guilty.
Yeah, I think it's the
He doesn't even say
realization.
not guilty. He just shakes his head.
Yeah, I
Does
think
he?
he realizes his own shame, and then it's the combo of like everybody has turned his back on him.
Yeah.
They're literally like, we're not going to listen to you. We're not going to give this any more attention. Like,
Yeah.
this is not what, this is not, like, none of us are standing for this. Even the people that were quote unquote on his side are just like, they're like, no, we're done with this. And I think it comes at an interesting time in history too. Like 1957 is like right in the middle of like Martin Luther King and like the civil rights movement, like Rosa Parks, I think that's like 1954. And so this is that kind of xenophobia and racism was still a big issue back then, and to have it put on display in a big movie from MGM was probably a big deal.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah,
man, I was thinking sharks and jets. Think of that kind of racism. Yeah, I might have been off on that one. Yeah, like Puerto Ricans versus Cubans. Like that's the racist we're talking about. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say him the xenophobic guy, but I also the climax of the film as Juror 3, as he kind of comes to grips with the realization, whether and I love that he doesn't say it out loud. It's all told through his performance, where he's talked about his son who he's been estranged from, that he kind of pushed away more or less, and acts like he's proud of it, but he really misses his kid, and like that is playing into his prejudice towards the defendant in the case and everything. And then when he's saying not guilty at the end, it's like it's pretty heartbreaking and cathartic. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what was I gonna say? I was gonna make a man. I told him I'd make a man out of him. Right? That's the beginning. He saw him run away from a fight, and I could throw up. I told him I'd make a man out of him, and I did. And then I think after that, he's like, I haven't seen him in 2 years. So yeah, I did too. Obviously, it's the climax, and I don't know if there's kind of a mirror, like you said, not only of his son and this kid, but like they talk about how the murder victim, the father, was abusive and was hitting this son, and like you kind of get that understanding that this juror is also probably physically abusive towards his son. And so there's kind of that mirror image that like this could have been him as the father, and his son as the one on trial. You get that kind of connection there. So
yeah, I think my favorite was Juror 4. Was the really facts based juror that's just like, nope, you can't, unless you explain why the lady's testimony can be explained away, not going to change. And it, like, you just see his face, like, slowly the understanding slide in of like, oh man, I'm wrong. And then he didn't even hesitate, just like, okay, not guilty. And I just really liked his, because he's never emotionally against the case, and that's why it's like such an interesting change, because he's not explosive, he doesn't get drawn in, he's just, this is what and even like with the racist guy, he's like you're listening to me, right? And he's like, yes, and now I want you to sit, I'm not listening anymore, sit down, don't say another word.
yeah.
And he's the one that shuts him down. And then juror 3 he's sitting next to juror 3, and juror 3 is always so explosive, always like, yeah, exactly, yeah, what he said. And then when his demeanor is crushed because he's like, oh, the glasses thing is very valid, 3 backs away from him, but he's like, nope, I'm not guilty, 100%. I can't say that he's guilty without doubt.
Yeah. He's a good one. As he said, like, it's like he specifically is like, don't let emotions play into this. This is, we have to go off the facts and the evidence which we were given. Yeah. Oh man. We can go through some more fun facts about this film. So Henry Fonda, the biggest name in the movie, Juror 8, the one who's the initial holdout, he was also the producer of the film, and United Artists was the production company. They asked him to do it. However, he hated being a producer on the film, and hated it so much that he decided he was like, I'm never going to produce a film again. So like, he loved the acting part, but did not enjoy the making decisions behind the scenes or anything like that. When they made this movie, Sidney Lumet, he had them all the actors stay in the same room for several hours on end to do their lines. Like they did a lot of rehearsal beforehand, about 2 weeks. And because they weren't filming during any of that, they ended up doing the entire movie in like about 3 weeks. And they didn't have to do a lot of different sets. Like I think when I think about it, there's 4 like locations. There's like the courtroom, or the courthouse rather, that you see the camera go through at the beginning and into the courtroom. There's the jury room. There's the one scene that's in the bathroom off to the side of the jury room. And then there's the last shot, which is like outside the courthouse again. So like
steps,
yeah, like there's really, not much there, but they had to do all of these rehearsals, and they were cooped up. And so like some of that, I think some of the pressure and the jousting and the anger, like I think probably got naturally built up like within that room. It's almost like the 1950s version of like when you hear the stories about Platoon, when Oliver Stone would like actually make guys go out and do military training and go out into the woods and train like soldiers or whatever. It was that kind of version, except for a courtroom. Yeah, there's also a total of 365 separate takes in the film. It's kind of crazy.
Is that a lot or a little?
I think for a movie like this, that's I guess I'm trying to read that as if they tried 365, or if there's 365 cuts. I think that's more what that line means. Is that there was like 365 cuts, which would be low,
Yeah. Which
it's a tight movie. It's an hour 30, hour 35 or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is also nice. That's also a very appealing thing of this movie. But yeah,
that did help me convince my wife to watch it with me. Just an hour and a half.
Not 3 hours like the last one.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a 3 hour.
I have a question. The
yes.
Xenophobic juror, I believe, was played by Ed Begley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be related to Ed Begley Jr.?
Yes, it would be.
That'd be his father.
His dad.
Quite a coincidence otherwise.
I know.
Yeah, right. There's another Ed Begley senior there floating around.
Unbelievable. Anyway, I saw that. I was like, oh, I know that name.
Yeah. Oh, man.
To go back,
Ed Begley Jr. is another actor, if anyone was not aware.
Right. To go back, my favorite turnings were the first one and the last one. So I didn't answer that.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
That's a good call out.
The first one being the old man.
The old man. Yeah, I liked his reasoning. Like this guy, he pleaded for support, and I gave it to him. Talking about juror number 8, and and it always. one guy is just like a crazy person until someone starts to follow him, and then once that first follower happens, then things actually get rolling. So
Yeah.
this movie, I mean, it wouldn't have happened, but this movie could have ended real fast if
Yeah. Right.
the first guy didn't
Yeah, because
follow.
he's because juror 8's willing to just call it off if
Right.
he's like, well, if literally I'm the only one, then I guess we can. But
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. I like that a lot. I don't know if y'all do this at all when y'all are watching, but I just love catching like inconsistencies. What is it called? Continuity. When there's an issue with
continuity errors.
yeah. There was only one that I could find. Like it jarred my brain for a second, and I was very impressed by that. Like it's an older movie, and like you had the number of takes in there, and it's just literally one small. I'm sure they just needed his face or expression or something. There's only one shot that where it's when the old man flips. So it's because he gets the guy that grew up in the slum gets up and he's like, "Hey, you can't speak to me like that." And then it shoots over to our main guy, Henry Fonda, and he's sitting and he has like a smile of like he like something's happening. And then it goes to the old guy and he says, "It wasn't him. I changed." And then it goes back to Henry Fonda and he's standing in a different
Oh,
spot of the
sure,
room.
yeah.
And that was the only one. And I was like legitimately impressed that they didn't have to edit together anything wrong because it's a lot of takes in the same space and they made it look really, really well done.
And who's to say he didn't get up really fast?
That's true. 15
Right?
seconds. 15 seconds is all it takes.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have reasonable
Exactly.
doubt?
I don't. I guilty.
Can you actually say
We need some
you
chairs.
just get up really fast? You wear glasses, or do you wear your glasses at night?
Was I wearing my glasses while I was watching this movie?
Oh man.
That's good.
So I am also a big fan of the Academy Awards and all that, so I have to call out. So this movie was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay.
Wow.
Because it was adapted from the television play. But it lost all three to Bridge on the River Kwai, which is
okay.
a little bit understandable. It's another great classic.
People
film.
love bridges.
They love bridges. They love rivers too,
It's
Yeah.
what a combo.
and they love war dramas.
And they love war.
Yep.
Yeah.
So all three of those can't. American
mean-
justice system can't hold a candle.
I mean, if that's one of the few movies Ron Swanson has seen,
Yes,
most
exactly.
of America has seen that movie.
You know.
It's good enough to drink whiskey and eat steak and watch
Yeah.
Alone in a Room.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
So I made the mistake of
Ooh.
watching the 97 remake after watching the original.
Oh, really?
Oh man, it's almost a word for word. Wait, have you guys seen it all?
No, I have never
No.
seen it. No.
Okay, it's got some pretty decent actors in it. Like, yeah, I'll let you look into it. But yeah, it's the word for word script wise, but it's shot so blandly. And you know who the director is? It's William Friedkin.
Yeah,
The guy who
that's what I
did The
was trying to
Exorcist.
remember.
So I
Yeah,
thought,
which-
like, oh, the guy who did The Exorcist filmed this one. It's got to be decent. No, it's like a made for TV garbage movie. So I mean,
Yeah.
give it a shot for 5 minutes, and you'll realize. Ugh.
Tony Danza, James
Tony Danza did it? Yep.
Gandolfini,
Wow.
Edward
Oh, who's
James
Gandolfini
Olmos
play?
for any Battlestar
Saints.
Galactica fans.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wait, who is he? Oh, he's 11. Okay, so he's like the watchmaker.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is wild. So Jack Lemmon is the lead as Juror 8. George C. Scott.
George C. Scott's the number 3.
Yeah, that's what this should work.
It should. Like
Courtney B.
all the
Vance,
actors, you know, Mr. Soprano's in it too, as the
Yes,
working
yeah.
class guy. Yeah, they all did a decent job with their line delivery and acting. It was just shot so poorly. There was no soul or heart in the filmmaking process. So
Wow, that's wild.
sad.
Yeah.
it was really sad. That's why I didn't even finish it. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. I want to say there's one other, there's like I should just look it up what it is, but there's another country made their version of the movie. Like I think it's, been made in other countries, but like I don't know like who would want to take this on like today. Like if if Amazon owns MGM now, if Amazon was like, we want to make a remake of 12 Angry Men, like I'm not sure what you would do to update it or give it a fresh take kind of thing, because it, like I said,
Yeah.
it's 67 years old as we're recording this, and it like still holds up. It's so watchable
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like
Very, very
easy to
good.
track and easy to watch. Like it's so good. Like I don't know what you would gain by remaking it at all.
No.
And it's not like it's like a franchise thing that like we're the 12 Angry Men heads out here like really excited to see somebody take a stab at the franchise.
Right.
So,
Each
an
jury
anthology.
gets their own movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they do 12 episodes, one
Right.
episode on each jury member.
How did
Somebody.
Juror 11 pass the jury selection process? Well, I'd like to see a good 2 hours on that.
Okay, I found it. Is it Russian? Oh wait, nope, this
Ooh.
is 12. Okay, so there's a 2007 movie that's just called 12 that is a loose remake. It looks like it's Russian. Wild. Okay. So you could try and watch that, but
Wild.
I don't think I'd recommend it. But what I would recommend, so Nathan came up with this idea last time of what's like the Netflix algorithm. If you watch this on a streamer, like what would it recommend next? I'll give you some recommendations in the vein of some of the things you might like about this film. So more courtroom dramas or legal thrillers. If you want to go along the more serious side, you've got stuff like Anatomy of a Murder and To Kill a Mockingbird, which are kind of from that same classic Hollywood era, which are very good courtroom dramas. You've got more modern stuff like A Few Good Men, Aaron Brockovich, Michael Clayton, which we might cover Michael Clayton later on this podcast.
Yeah.
And then on the lighter side, there's like Miracle on 34th Street, which is a courtroom drama, or a courtroom comedy rather. Similarly, My Cousin Vinny or Legally Blonde, if you want to go that direction. If what you liked about the movie was the single or few locations with lots of characters that are verbally jousting in a small space, I think Quentin Tarantino has done this twice with Reservoir Dogs and The Hateful Eight. The Hateful Eight is much more that, like it is much more like takes place in one cabin, during a snowstorm. And
That movie was crazy.
Yeah, it's probably like, I think it's kind of viewed as one of Tarantino's lesser films. Like people don't like it as much, but I think it's still pretty good. Like even his lesser works are still very entertaining. You also got Lord of the Flies, and I also had down here Buried, which is a Ryan Reynolds film where he is buried alive, and I'm pretty sure the entire movie takes place like he's in a coffin and he just has a phone, so he's like communicating with people, but he is, the entire film is Ryan Reynolds in a box, like trying to figure out how he's going to get out of this box. And then the last one I had, what was that?
Go ahead for it.
Snowpiercer was one of the other ones that I wanted to bring up. Which
there's a lot of cars in that one.
There are a lot of cars, yes.
It's on a train, right?
Yeah, it's on a train, but they are, like when certain train, cars or whatever, they are like confined to that small space or whatever. And you got the ensemble characters thing going on. Like every time they go into the train, there's these new people or new car rather. There's the new people and everything. So that would be, that's quite the bridge to go from 12 Angry Men to Snowpiercer, but
but the connection's there.
Yeah. That's the important thing.
I was gonna say, I didn't think I realized that there was a Lord of the Flies movie. Is this the
really?
1990? Is that?
No, I'm thinking of, it's a black and white one.
Okay.
It might have been a TV movie.
1963. Maybe that's
Yeah, maybe.
yeah.
I was about to make a joke that all movies are on the TV, and then I'm like, we're literally on computers. That's not a
Yep.
fact.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, my nephew was arguing with my sister-in-law. She said something about how, no, you watched TV earlier today. He was like, no, I didn't. And she's like, yes, you did. She's like, no, I didn't. I was watching YouTube. She was like,
Got
oh my
him.
gosh, yeah, gotcha. Now
Got
what
me.
you gonna do?
Yeah, now I get my TV time, Mom.
Yeah,
Lawyered.
right.
Yeah.
That was on my Switch.
Oh man.
1963.
Yeah, there is a 1963 Lord of the Flies. I remember watching that one in high school too. After I took a novels class that I really
The
loved.
same
and that-
hungover teacher.
Yeah,
who was,
your teacher was
Yeah.
drunk a lot, right?
No, this was like it was a novels class where we read 4 kind of classic novels, and then if there was like a movie version, we would
that's
watch it
fun.
after we
Wow.
finished
You had
it.
a cool
and stuff.
teacher.
That
So,
is
yeah,
a
we
dark
read-
story.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones. We read Lord of the Flies, Animal Farm,
Mm.
what was the not The Great Gatsby. I also read The Great Gatsby in high school and hated it. And what was one of the other ones we read for that class? There was another like cool book. Oh, you know what it was? It was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yep.
Mm.
I was
which
going to guess that or Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and then the last one was like Water for Chocolate, which is like the Mexican romance novel. And so high school me really, really, really thought that was a cool thing to read. Try and lace that with as much sarcasm as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's 12 Angry Men. And do you guys have any other comments or any thoughts about the film? Or
If they hadn't made this, then you could call me the 13th Angry Man.
Well, if they hadn't made it, there wouldn't be
Shut up.
12 other angry men.
No, I was very pleasantly surprised, and I think honestly, after I finished this movie, it might be up top. Like, it could be up in my top 5, favorite movies. Like, it was just so compelling, to bring that word back around, and so tightly shot, so well done, and so it's just, I think it's going to go up high in my favorite movies, and it makes you look smart when you say it because it's an old movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So when someone asks you, like, have you seen the 1957
Have you seen Sidney Lumet's debut?
Yeah.
Oh, it's called 12
this guy
Angry
knows
Men.
movies.
I was on a podcast
Man,
about it.
you could use this movie as a 101 class on setup and payoffs for so many things. My favorite sequence line of the movie is, so they ask for the knife to come, be presented, and then it gets taken away, and then juror number 3 is getting in his huffy, angry moments. He grabs the knife and he's like, "The kid was seen with this knife." Into, like, stabbing it into his father. Now, what about that is reasonable doubt? And then the old man just like, that's not the knife.
Yeah.
And he's like, then he just throws it on the table like, oh, like, that's so funny. I laughed at that moment because the real knife is gone. He was making his point like, this specific knife, and it wasn't even the knife. Like, it is a reasonable doubt because that knife has already been mass produced, and like it's so dense in its portrayal of the what's going on. So I think you could use this movie in that aspect. Like, things are set up and they pay off.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's so good.
Sometimes
There's a lot of
funny,
satisfying moments like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I do think, similar to Cole, this is a movie I would show like my kids as they get older. Of like, this is an older movie that's really good. Like, new does not equal the best. Because growing up, like, there was, like I said, some classic TV shows that were old, but they were goofy and they're not like great great film, you would say. But this is really good. So this is definitely a movie. If I ever had anyone that was like, yeah, old TV or old movies, they're just terrible, and be like, we should watch this hour and a half movie right now. Stop what you're doing. We're gonna do this now.
Yeah. And then we'll watch Iron Man 2, and you'll see also
I was gonna say, like,
how great.
do this one and Super Mario Brothers movie back to back.
We're gonna go see this right before we watch Minecraft. And
Yeah. Oh man.
oh
Yeah.
man,
Cool. Yeah, it rips. I'm glad that you guys liked it, and I'm glad to spread the gospel of this 65-year-old black and white movie that I think is really cool. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on and being willing to watch the movie and everything.
And what do we get to talk about next time?
Next month,
Chris,
we are going to come back and watch, or talk about rather, Alien.
Ooh, spooky.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
I'm very excited.
get ready. Yeah. Protect your chest.
Chest.
People who haven't seen it are like, what?
Why? I don't understand. Anyway, lovely film. Thank you, Chris, for giving us a watch of classic film, television. I'm using the word film too much. But yeah, come back and hear our next episode. And if you missed our previous one, go back and check out Heat. Hope you enjoy it. Bye-bye now.
Peace.
Do 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 do